What is going on, YouTube? Hope you guys are doing fantastic today. Today's video is going to be all about objectives around the map, mostly boss objectives, but I will be touching on the totem too, just in case you guys don't really know what it does, or when you want to do it, or why, or respawn timer. I'm going to talk about as much as I can, as much information as I can get in this video. So starting off with totem. Totem is a buff on the solo side of the map. It's actually outside of the entire jungle, and there's a little half circle that actually increases your damage in that area to do the totem faster or to fight in that area and be a little bit stronger. The totem is going to be giving you MP5 and a movement speed buff, and it refreshes when you go inside of your towers. It's mostly an early game objective. You don't have to rotate to it or anything past, 2 minutes into the game. Maybe your jungler wants to rotate to confirm a totem, because the MP5 is very strong early game. The buff increases movement speed by 5% and the MP5 by 20 to 30 scaling over time with 3 tiers from 0 to 15 minutes. It is very squishy. It doesn't return any damage. And instead of being something that has a health bar that both of you guys do damage to, it's a health bar separately for you and the enemy. So yours is in blue or red, theirs is in blue or red, the other color, depending on the order or chaos side. And it's whoever can do that amount of health first. It spawns with 300 health, so it's very easy to start with. And it spawns at 1 minute into the game. Next up, Gold Fury. Probably the next objective on the map. Spawns with 3,000 health, 130 power, 30 physical protection, 30 magical protection, and it scales up. And one thing I want to touch on, this right here, all jungle bosses have a 50% resistance to all forms of lifesteal. It's to make objectives a lot harder for your ADCs or maybe your jungler who has lifesteal to solo. The Gold Fury is probably one of the earliest game jungle bosses. They have made it a little bit harder to do in recent patches. It is a monster that once you kill it, you get gold and you get experience to your team. Defeating it grants 130 gold and 55 experience to each member of the team who lands the killing blow, and it scales up by 6 gold and 5 experience. After defeat, whenever any members of the team that slain it will provide a buff to their structures that boosts its physical power and reduce damage taken. And this is from the recent 2 patches or something like this. This is something very, very new, but I feel like a lot of people don't know it. Next up, once you kill the Gold Fury, there's a 50-50 chance that it's going to be an Oni Fury and a 50-50 chance that's going to be a Primal Fury. The Oni Fury spawns with a little bit more health. Same with the Primal Fury. We'll start with the Primal Fury or with the Oni Fury. What does the Oni Fury give you? Oni Fury, when you kill it, it gets gold experience to each member of the team who lands the killing blow, and after its defeat, the next round of minions spawned in all 3 lanes are granted 75% bonus damage, 30% bonus health, increased physical protection by 50, and magical protection by 60. So it just gives you this almost fire wave-like wave that's going to be pushing in every single lane. And then lastly, I'm going to touch on Primal Fury, and then I'll talk about when you want to be doing these objectives. Primal Fury, defeating it grants 120 gold, 55 experience to each member of the team who lands the killing blow, and it grants every player on the killer's team a stacking 7% damage buff towards and 7% reduced damage from jungle camps and jungle bosses, and this effect stacks up to 3 times. So this is something that scales pretty well into the late game. With how hard Fire Giant is to do right now, Primal Furies are as important as ever. Back in Season 9, Season 8, when Primal Fury initially came out and the following seasons, you didn't really need to do Primal Fury. It was a little weak. But now with how strong Fire Giant is, well, mostly EFG, with how strong EFG is, you're going to need a couple Primal Furies to be able to kill the fire in a good amount of time. So when do you want to be looking to do these? Gold Fury is something you want to go around 10 minutes, and you want to look for openings, either a team fight where you 4v4 and you wipe 3 of them and 1 of them is alive, but he has to back. You still have 4 alive. Go to the Gold Fury after winning that team fight. Maybe you've pushed all the waves and one of the enemies you saw backed, you can spam attack Gold Fury. I did it in the coaching video with Weekend. It was a really quick thing that I think a lot of people don't recognize is those small openings, all you need to do is just see the enemy back. It takes you about 15 seconds to walk from base, but then you also want to go to that mid wave. So if somebody does back on a poor timer, they're backing, they're immediately walking to their lane, and then maybe they come to Gold Fury. So it's stuff like that as you can kind of recognize. Maybe you see the jungler path into the solo side of the map, and your team is already around Gold Fury. Maybe you can call the Gold Fury around then. Gold Fury is an objective that's very easy to 50-50. If you don't get it, you're going to lose a little bit of gold, obviously, but it doesn't shift the game completely in the enemy's favor like a Fire Giant does. So feel free to just throw a 50-50 on Gold Fury in the early game if you see an opening. Call it, say attack, ultimate is ready, try to get it. If you get it, huge. A big mistake people make around objectives is after they get the objective and they've used ultimates, they take the fight after, get the kill on Gold Fury, and then get out. Oni Fury is in a weird spot where I think people don't really use Oni Fury to its full potential. The problem is, I think Oni Fury is something that's more useful later into the game than it is earlier into the game. Oni Fury is something that puts pressure in every single lane. If the enemy doesn't go to that lane and kill it, either the tower is going to die or it's going to get very, very weak. However, mostly people just get the Oni Fury and then immediately reset, walk out with the waves, and continue farming like normal, and then that's it. Some big plays to be made when you have an Oni Fury is grouping up to try to take a tower with it. It can tank a lot, and it can also do a lot of damage in a fight if they fight on the Oni wave. This is something that it's going to be spawning around 15 minutes, depending on when the Gold Fury spawns, because it has to wait 4 minutes after the Gold Fury dies to spawn. So it really depends on when the Gold Fury is done. And then, like I said, Gold Fury is the first spawn no matter what, and then it's a 50-50 on whether it's the Oni or the Primal Fury. The weird thing is, after that second Fury, we'll say Gold Fury, Oni Fury, it is then back to a 50-50 chance of Primal and Gold Fury. So you can go Gold, Oni, Gold, and you just have no Primal until maybe even the fourth one or maybe even the fifth one. I don't know if they've coded it to be less likely for that to happen, but it is very weird. Gold Fury also is something that I think doesn't scale as well as the other two. Oni Fury can give you a play around the map. Primal Fury is something where, like I said, you get that stacking damage buff and damage mitigation, I guess. It's going to be very helpful for around those Fire Giant fights. That 7% or 14% swing, if you want to call it like that, can be very, very effective. Primal Fury is also something that I think should be very contested. You want to be able to get it because it is a big swing around objectives, mostly around that Fire Giant. When Fire Giant is like that, if you get this, you should be able to win or get a big lead off of it. Next up, Pyromancer. Pyromancer is probably the easiest objective to get on the map of all the jungle bosses, easier than Gold, and obviously easier than Fire Giant. So it is something that you really want to keep in mind when it spawns. The Pyromancer spawns with 2,500 health, 120 power, 20 fizz prots, and 20 magical prots. Defeating it grants 85 gold, 50 experience to each member of the team who lands the killing blow. That's good. That's not the positive. The real big positive is it drops a pickup known as the Runic Bomb. This consumable deals 300 physical damage and applies knockback to enemies, plus 1,000 true damage to minions and structures while reducing their attack speed by 35% for 10 seconds. Apparently, a lot of people don't know this. When you're sieging on an objective, the biggest thing with the Runic Bomb, if you can't get the wave in, is it reduces the damage. It's basically an Emperor's armor when you put it down on the tower. Even if you can't get the wave in to get the 1,000 true damage, because it will be doing reduced true damage to the Phoenix when the wave's not in there, it's still 35% attack speed reduction. You'll see me do this on stream where I'll walk in and I'll bomb the tower as we're diving to reduce its damage more so than just for the damage onto the tower. And these Runic Bombs are absolutely huge. 1,000 true damage to structures is absolutely huge when it comes to sieging. When you have a Fire Giant, if you have a bomb on your assassin or your solo laner, they can threaten Phoenixes kind of by themselves. And if you have it with your ADC or your support around that side of the map, it is something that makes that 3,000 health Phoenix now only 2,000 health and also getting reduced attack speed. And you don't have to fight the 5v5 under the Phoenix in an unadvantageous state. I don't know if that's the word, but I think it is. So Pyro is very good. It scales into the game. You should be looking at this as soon as it spawns. It's the easiest thing on the map to do, like I said. Next up, Fire Giant. Everybody knows Fire Giant. You're not looking to do it until about 20 minutes. This is the attacks that it has. I'm not going to go over the attacks that it has because I'd rather just focus on when you want to do it and then what you get from it. So pre 30 minutes, it's going to be 6,000 health, 130 power, 120 physical prots, and 80 magical prots. Defeating it grants 156 gold, 205 experience, and also grants the Fire Giant's Might buff to each living member of the team who landed the killing blow. Fire Giant's Might gives extra power, health regen, percent health regen, and it gives you an ability to go to the Fire Giant or to the Phoenix without a wave because it gives you extra pen with no minion waves in the Phoenix. So if you go and try to kill a structure and there's no minion wave in it, you'll be doing, I think it's like 50% reduced damage or something like that, something really obnoxious. When you have Fire Giant, that becomes 25% reduced. And then when you get EFG, it's about 90% reduced. It's incredible how strong EFG is. After the 30-minute mark, the Fire Giant evolves into Enhanced Fire Giant and grants the more powerful Fire Giant's Rage buff. It's basically the exact same thing, except you get a little bit more power, and then you also get more shred on the Phoenixes without the waves walking in, and structures obviously in general too. You want to be doing Fire Giant around the 20-minute mark. That's when you want to start thinking about fire. Like I've said, EFG is very hard to do. The regular FG, not too much, but the regular FG isn't really a win con like EFG. EFG is, if we get EFG, we should be winning this game either with this EFG or setting ourselves up to win next EFG. And then when this spawns at 30 minutes, as soon as that 30 minutes and EFG happens, you should be contesting it. My biggest thing is people like to contest FG all the time. If you're down 10k gold, just give up the FG and just farm that entire time. Push out, try to get towers to get yourself more gold. FG is not a win con like it used to be. EFG is the win con. Give up FGs and look to play on the opposite side of the map, whether it's pushing through duo or if they back and then go to duo, push through solo. Obviously, back to defend your Phoenixes because you don't want the enemy to break your base. Breaking your base is losing a Phoenix, so they have a way to get to Titan. But that is essentially it. That is all the jungle bosses and the totems that I'm going to be talking about today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys have any questions or anything that I missed on or anything like that, let me know. Comment down below. Ask your question, whatever it is. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you guys again next time. Peace.